Hello and welcome back to Tony Northeastern. I have just finished coffee and comments morning downstairs, so I've just come up. I normally do that on a Sunday morning, just having a browse through and see what information I am receiving from you guys out there in the big world. And as you can see, I have now permanently fixed this baseboard, glued and screwed, and just in the process of removing these clamps because they've been on overnight. This one doesn't want to come undone. There we go. Right, yeah, because as you can see, the plywood ran underneath the bridge there, so I could glue and screw this section onto this bit. So, regarding the comments, one of you said it would be nice to see some trains running once the track work is finished. Yep, that would be nice, but at the moment my controller is away being repaired. But I do have a DC controller, and if I leave these disconnected, we might be able to run some trains up and down the track in the station area. So, right, as you can see, I've removed the board from the top of this framework, and while I was pinning the track to the board when the board was on here, I happened to notice that these were flexing. So I've come up with the idea of just giving this board just a little bit of extra support, putting in some cross members there and tying it in here as well. That's loose, so that's what I'm about to do now. And this here was moving up and down as well, so luckily I spotted that when I was pinning the track to the board when it was up on the top. Meanwhile, the board is down there, and you can see all the feed wires and point holes ready to be done. So the next thing is to sort out the little issue regarding this framework, because it's only quite thin. It's only 28mm deep, 18mm wide, so there is quite a bit of flex in there. So I can imagine I would probably have troubles with that later on if I'd left it. So I shall tie in these extra supports. Right, I have fitted the extra cross members in all the way down where they were needed. One here, one there, and one there, and it has firmed up the frame. It doesn't flex as much as it did earlier. As you can see, there's plenty of gap in there, and the rolling stock should miss those pillars. Right, now I've done that job, the next job is, while the top's off, I want to put some LEDs in between the storage yard and the baseboard top, because once the top is on, I have noticed it gets really dark. Well, it's almost black under there, and I want to be able to see where the locos are when they come for uncoupling on these uncoupling ramps. So the idea I've come up with is these LED strips. You can pick them up anywhere. These just happen to be left over from a little job I did and the house a while back, and I'll be using these. The LEDs will be controlled from this control panel here, because I have a spare on and off switch, which is very handy. These LED strips, they come in various lengths. They come in 5 meters, 8 meters, 3 meters, whatever length you want. You can pick them up virtually anywhere, and these, like I said before, these were just left over from a job I did. Funny enough, it was a kitchen a while back, and you can cut them to any size you want. So basically you just tin the ends of your cable like so, and I've already tinned the ends there. This is a multicolored one. You got plus, green, red and brown. I'm just going to be using the blue. So you've got to make sure your ends are quite short for these, so trim them down after you've tinned them, dip them in your flux again, and then just solder them on. Okay, that's the red. Now the blue. And blue just does not want to play. Alright, there you go. That's the red and the blue. Make sure the joint's good. Yep. Sometimes if you're not too careful, you can see a seamless crack between the cable and the actual copper you're soldering onto, so do check that you've got a good joint. Right, so this is done. This can go on the layout. And another good thing about these is they've got peel away backs, so you just pull off the sticky strip on the back and then just place them where you want them. But, I will put just a tiny dab of super glue in a few spots, especially where the cables have been soldered on, because that becomes dry with the heat. And it loses its stickiness, so I'll just put a tiny dab of super glue in a few spots, just to make sure that it doesn't come off later on. Okay, super job. That's all the LEDs in place now. So this LED will light up the decoupling area on the storage yard. And there's the cables there which go down underneath the storage yard. And as we go down the storage yard, I have a bank of 3 set of LEDs, one there, and one there, which will light up the middle of the fiddle yard. And this set of LEDs hopefully will light up the entrance to the storage yard, and hopefully it'll be bright enough to illuminate this little area here. Right, so the next stage is to feed all the cables into this control panel. Okay, we're almost ready for the big switch on. It's taken me most of the afternoon to run the cables from here all the way into the control panel, and to run a cable from here where all the terminal blocks are right away underneath the baseboard, all the way around. To here. So let's switch on. And there we have it. Yep, I think that's going to be bright enough once the baseboard gets fitted on the top. Like I said before, it's just a basic LED strip. You just cut and solder the cables on. Okay, now it's time to do the baseboard. Okay, that's all the seat point motors put on the board on the underside. So there's only one thing left to do now, and that's to flip it over. Now you can see the baseboard is flipped back over and all the joints are lined up with the point works, which is good, and there's been no damage to the tracks with constantly flipping the baseboard over and over to fit the seat motors. And just before we go, we'll have one last look at the LEDs underneath in the fiddle yard. And that concludes this video for this week. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now. Bye.